voice of Indonesia.
Listeners and viewers of Voice of Indonesia, we know that every country has its own unique and inspiring history and also patriotic stories. So does South Africa with its Freedom Day, which is full of human noble values and justice, and values that strongly bind South Africa and Indonesia in addressing today's world challenges. To discuss this, here in our studio, we have His Excellency Mpetjane Lekgoro, the Ambassador of South Africa to Indonesia. How are you, Your Excellency?
I'm good, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Welcome to the studio of Voice of Indonesia.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Ambassador Lekgoro, we know that April 27, it means that about 29 years ago, was a defining historical moment for South Africa that inspired the world until today about the importance of justice without segregation by upholding universal human noble values. So the question is, what does the Freedom Day mean to the people of South Africa?
Thank you once more for having me. Freedom Day to South Africans means a lot. It means that, previously oppressed people have regained their dignity. They are now equal before the law. They have the right to vote into power a government of their choice. And more importantly, people are now able to realize the full potential of their abilities. Crazy as it may sound, in earlier days in South Africa, people who are with a black color like me would not be allowed to enter certain, economic activities or education spheres. For example, at that time, I would not have been allowed to be a pilot if I wished to.
Even you have skill for
even
that.
I have the ability and the will to do that. Only my color skin would prevent me from doing that. So that's what freedom means to us today, that we are able to realize the full potential of all people in South Africa.
Okay, thanks to that, what our father in South Africa for the historic struggle to regain this dignity, equal before law, freedom for election, and so on. So how do the people in South Africa usually, just say the government and the people in South Africa usually celebrates this, freedom?
We celebrate it every year, this Freedom Day. Our first democratic elections in South Africa were held on the 27th of April in 1994. So every year it's a cultural activity for all South Africans. It's a public holiday. People would go to their different, they will assemble in different forms, in churches, at home, some in political rallies, and this is for all South Africans to continue to remember where they come from, where they are, and what the future holds for them.
Okay, so it is a public holiday.
It's a public holiday.
Okay, and people will, like we have here in Indonesia, in August 17th, we usually have a kind of parade, just a quotation party in every side.
Yes, we'll have all those kind of different activities, and the president will also take the opportunity to address the people over media and in actual political rally elsewhere in the country.
In the country, yes. Yes, Ambassador Lekgoro, we know that Nelson Mandela, or popularly known as Madiba, has become an icon of justice not only for the Africans but also for the entire world, even here in Indonesia. We even I forget the year, we have a special program here in Voice of Indonesia in cooperation with the United Nations office here in Jakarta to organize an event for remember Nelson Mandela in the UN building on Jalan Sudirman here in Jakarta. So principles and extraordinary love. So what is Madiba's greatest lesson actually for South Africans and in understanding their true independence and freedom that they already gained today?
Mandela remains an icon in the memory of all South Africans. He is revered from all corners of the country by politicians, by business, by people who don't even agree, on how the country should proceed. But Mandela remains the uniting factor in South Africa. The great lessons that South Africans have learned from Mandela is the fact that some tasks are so difficult that they appear impossible until they are achieved. He is a living example of part of a generation that undertook a torturous journey to liberate their people, and which at the early moment of their lives, that task appeared impossible. Connected to that lesson is that good will always prevail over evil as long as the oppressed people are forever determined to attain their freedom.
Yeah. So, do young people of South Africa still have the same perceptions, the same eyes on how to honor Nelson Mandela in their life?
The young people of South Africa have a good memory of Mandela and his deeds. They also, would wish to take part in South African life, to contribute and to sustain political and social order that Mandela and his generations yearned for. Of course, these are young people who are living in a new reality, in a new changed world, who have different views, aspirations, and would probably also suggest methods on how to take their lives forward. But I would argue that at the base of that is the lessons that they've learned from an icon like Mandela.
Okay. Yes, Ambassador Lekgoro, as you mentioned, that freedom and peace are essential in addressing the recent conflict-ridden global challenges. Both Indonesia and South Africa have a long history in struggle for independence. Both are members of the non-aligned movement, but also are anti-colonialism. So my question is, how has cooperation between the two countries, Indonesia and South Africa, been established so far to realize a peaceful world? Not peaceful Indonesia, not peaceful South Africa, but peaceful world.
Relations between Indonesia and South Africa are growing from strength to strength. and we have also elevated our relationship to a strategic level. We share a common colonial history between the two countries, and we are both driven by the desire not to return to an order that oppresses people. And that is how we find one another on multilateral platforms of the United Nations in pursuit for justice and peace. We normally would support one another, or together initiate motions in the relevant bodies of the United Nations that we believe advance peace around the world.
Yes, so cooperation is stronger to promote, to pursue peace around the world. Okay, thank you, Ambassador Lekgoro. So my next question is, South Africa is Indonesia's largest trading partner in Africa. Correct me if I make a mistake on the number. It's about 3.2 million US dollar for both countries.
1.4 billion US dollar.
1.4 billion US dollar. So
yes.
Bilateral trade volume has reached to 1.4 billion US dollar. So what is the projection cooperation, especially in strengthening trade, politics, and security in the future?
Elevating our relationship to a strategic level actually in practice means elevating relations in trade, relations in security, defense, and discussions are underway for us probably in this year to conclude a memorandum of understanding around a few areas such as agriculture, fishery, and special economic zones. So as soon as those memorandums are signed and agreed upon, that will open the way to even take our relations higher in terms of trade. We have signed a memorandum of understanding on defense. We did this last year, August, and this has opened a way for further relations between the two defense industries of our countries, and that now we hope to see some development around those areas which would take care of the security between two countries.
So besides agriculture, defense industries, so what sort of other potentials products that the two countries may increase, strengthen in the future?
There are a number of products that there is potential to strengthen. In terms of South Africa, and this is what we are discussing, is to enable more South African exports in terms of its fruit industry. Where South Africa has an advanced fruit industry. We export, to Indonesia, citrus, banana, pears, and the like, and we would like to, export more. And same with Indonesia, they export palm oil to South Africa, and we continue to discuss the possibilities of a refinery set up between the two countries, a palm oil refinery in South Africa. So we continue continuously examine all other areas in terms of trade and defense.
Okay. We know that people-to-people contact is as important to business and business contact over G2G contact. So, in the context of this people-to-people diplomacy, is Indonesia well known in South Africa, and what do South Africans like most about Indonesia?
Well, there is an issue of distance between the two countries. They are far, far away from each other.
How long is for flight?
It's
8 hours?
it's 8 hours. You connect, you do another 8 hours. So it's a long way
Yes.
to here. And secondly, because of the colonial past, South Africa was a pariah of the world, isolated, and because of the support the Indonesians gave to South Africa, they joined the campaigns of not investing and not touring towards South Africa. Mm-hmm. So there is that gap to close for the future with the new reality. However, I must mention that I'm encouraged that South Africans and Indonesians are beginning to be conscious of one's geographic locations, one another's geographic locations. There is a fair amount of traffic of South Africans, particularly to Bali. Mm-hmm. And from our embassy, we realize an increase in visa applications by Indonesians to South Africa. And that is what we will keep on promoting, bringing awareness to South Africans about Indonesia, bringing awareness to Indonesians about South Africans, and reminding them that the umbilical cord that binds us actually is the early arrival of Sheikh Yusuf, who was banished to South Africa by the Dutch colony many hundreds of years ago.
Yes.
And that was the early establishment and nurturing of the Muslim faith in South Africa. Yes. Actually, his shrine lies in an area in the Cape called Makassar, named after the town from which he was taken to South Africa, Makassar.
Yes.
Yes. So that consciousness, I believe, will grow, and we'll see more and more Indonesian visiting South Africans, South Africans visiting Indonesians. What South Africans like about Indonesia, we have a large Muslim community in South Africa, and that would be, their attraction point. And of course, if they visit Indonesia, the first thing that they would love is the food in Indonesia, as I do.
So what kind of food do you like most of all?
The nice, spicy Indonesian food.
Nasi Padang?
Yeah, you see, I'm not able the names. I don't know the names, but I know to point it on the menu. Say, this is the one.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's good food.
Yes, good food. Good food. I love it.
Okay. Yes, Ambassador Lekgoro, since there are still many that I want to discuss, to talk with you, but simply we have a very limited time before we come to the end of this interview. I would like you to send your message during these 30 years of Indonesia and South Africa diplomatic relationship.
My message is that the relationship between Indonesia and South Africa, as we celebrate the 30th anniversary of our diplomatic relationship, should grow and be strengthened. And I am certain that both governments are doing everything possible to take the relationship to the next level. And in terms of our celebrations for 30 years of freedom, we celebrate that with the knowledge that the support that Indonesia gave to our struggle was an invaluable part of our journey to freedom, and will forever be indebted to Indonesians.
Thank you, Ambassador
Thank you
Lekgoro.
so much.
May our conversation today very meaningful for both the people of Indonesia and the people of South Africa, and then may the two countries' relationship stronger and stronger in the future.
Certainly. Thank you so much.
Well, listener, that was my interview with His Excellency, the South African Ambassador to Indonesia, His Excellency Mpetjane Lekgoro. I'm Daulat Pane, and see you next time.
Voice of Indonesia.